Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to Esper Reviews, where today we have ourselves a track by a couple of people. There's a couple of people involved in this. We've got Akin Jensen and Sami Jakobsson. And this track is titled Sick Shit. So if we switch over to here, we have the album art really big on the screen, which is nice, it's interesting, eh? We're going to be listening through this track from start till finish. We're going to hear what we think. So let's go. I'll put the album art here. Sweet. Oh! Cool, we got some sort of EDM-ish stuff going on. Nice and loud.
Hey yo! Jag är tillbaka som en andra käftsmäll. Stinker Billy Schack på en andedräkten. Värsta cancerfläcken på den lipiga silla som inte fattar vinkeln men behöver något att dela om jag fyller dem med skit när de slickar min röv. Måste vara dop nummer
Wow.
Pösen mycket bös, sjukt skön. De frågar vad fan det är som jag tänker med. Berätta till mig gärna heter LSD. Följde signalen så gick mot centralen.
They're quick, aren't they? There's a lot going on here. Like, if we take it back to the start, and the blue, like who expects that to be the start of a song, right? Sick shit. It's a great way to introduce a track. We got these kind of really peppy kind of synth leads here with the drums, nice pumping, great production value. Oh, fantastic. Okay, yeah, we've got a consistent 8th to 16th note groove on the rapping, fantastic flow there, the vocals are coming through really nice and clearly along with the words, even though it's a language I'm not entirely familiar with. And we've got some sort of like 1930s-ish kind of swing, kind of jazzy kind of tunage going on here. Nice side chaining on that kick, it's great. Oh, okay, and then we had, of course, some sort of vocal modulation there coming in before the other music, because there's two people involved, of course, there's Akin and then there's Sami. Yeah, there's so much going on here. You've got a really interesting kind of trumpet or a sax theme going on there with the kicks, and there's a bass there. It's subtle, but there is definitely a bass there. And all those other little textures that are occasional just to keep things super interesting and engaging. Yeah, it's catchy as hell, man. I dig it. You've got a lovely kind of charisma and sort of, I was about to say youthfulness. Yeah, definitely youthfulness. There's fantastic level of energy to it. It really doesn't want you to take a moment sort of straying away from it. It's like a puppy desperate for your attention, but in a good way. Wait, when is there a bad way that a puppy's desperate for your attention? You know what I mean. Yeah, like what's with that? I wouldn't have expected those vocals there, but it's just part of the like as a first impression, it's fairly full on. There's a lot of stuff going on here, and I'm assuming that the vocals are just another layer of intensity there. They're really attuned to the fact, I think, that this is an over 4-minute track, and they've really got to work to kind of keep you listening to it. I wonder how many tracks there were in this production. Oh, some vocal modulation here, down a pitch shift down an octave or something like that. It's funky. Nice common response there. Like there's just wacky kind of synths there. It is sick shit. It's pretty well done. It's pretty neat. Little fake out there.
Svensson, där bara snackar bull. Vi ska brissa min stil då din fucking tung.
Cool. We had a little bit of a drop in the energy levels there before rising back up for the hook. And that's a great, like, if you've got a similarity in the intensity between the choruses and the hooks, right? As per this track, which is consistent with that chord note groove, in contrast to the 8th and 16th note rhythms displayed by the rappers telling their story and speaking their truth. There's a lot to appreciate here. It sounds like a major label record. You know, obviously you wouldn't have this on like morning television, but see, this is the point where I've listened to this, I'm familiar with the theme of the music, and I'm wondering, okay, what are they going to do next? How are they going to change this up? Because, you know, Akin and Sami have shown that they can put the little bits of interest in here to kind of keep things sounding a bit fresh, even if they keep that main sort of musical motif alive. So what's this third going to be like? Okay, this is the vibe we're going for here. Cool.
Boy back in the thing. Jag är här med Akin för att stänga era munnar upp. Trots han är crazy är den mannen 100. Han rullar upp en jävel för att blaza den. Men då har Maggan den jäveln upp med tändaren. Men vi kan räkna med fest till imorgon bitti. Det bara gå på ren instinkt. Viva la skriva.
So has Akin Jensen been for most of it, and now sad this is Sami's verse?
Sick shit.
Jag vill bara göra massa sick shit. Jag kommer inte för någon business. Jag vill flyga som en prism.
Oh, and we're back in here.
Göra någon sick shit så jag vet att jag lever på riktigt. Här är mitt ass, you can kiss it. Har mitt svett som ett lipstick. Jag vill göra någon sick shit så jag vet att jag lever på riktigt.
Göra massa crazy skit så jag vet jag kan bli. Halsa lägga sprit.
Banka tjack med penicillin.
Göra massa crazy skit så jag vet jag kan bli. Halsa lägga sprit.
Banka tjack med penicillin.
Just trying to get used to the cable length on these headphones. I had to reach a little bit to get to the camera over there. Yeah, okay. Okay, it's an interesting track. I appreciate what we were trying to do here. Clearly these guys are competent musicians and vocalists, and you know, the production as well is pretty on point. It's very different to a lot of the stuff I listen to differently, primarily because of how full on it is the entire time. There's not a dull moment within this track, and I can appreciate that. There are people that really need this from their music. They need it to really sort of entertain and engage them. And when you have got sick shit, you're really kind of like showing off that sick shit. You know what I mean? It wouldn't make sense for a song titled Sick Shit to be kind of slow and kind of methodical, you know? Like, you've got to have that extra bit of zazz to it. And I think that's what we had on display here from this track. I think that, you know, when I hear a song like this, I think, what were they trying to accomplish? And I'll just be a sec. I mean, like, Akin is a Swedish rapper who did actually apparently experience some success in 2018 for the Bonnie and Clyde track that he did, which is fantastic. You know, to go viral like that is phenomenal. There's a lot of people making music nowadays. So in that sense, I can understand why we have a track like this. This is the kind of song where you really would have to... You'd have to really struggle to not pay attention to it. And I think that that's a sign of respect to the listener. It never got... I got close, but it never got to the point where it was overwhelming to the point where I didn't like it. I think it would have been detrimental to the experience if there'd been like a suddenly really chilled out session. It wouldn't have made sense in this. So to keep that energy level consistent was really the only option moving forward. I don't know what they could have done to necessarily improve it. I mean, again, the mixing and mastering was on point for the most part. The vocal recordings were nice and clear. The production side of things was fine. Songwriting-wise, I feel like we got a lot of what we needed to. This is without me knowing the lyrics, by the way. So there could have been more to... I'm assuming there was definitely more to the story that was told that I wasn't able to understand it. So I'm assuming that's why we had the 3 verses. If that was Sami Jakobsson's dedicated verse in 3, that's exactly what needed to be done. My concern initially was Sami going to be in the first verse, and there was going to be a third verse of Akin, which, again, it's their song. They're allowed to do that. But my concern was that there's going to be more of this, what we had in the first and second. I'm glad that we switched things up a little bit. We had a few more pauses there. We had some interesting kind of phrasing, there was change, and that's what needed to be done. Because if we'd had the third verse exactly like the first, it kind of maybe would have been a little bit too much of the same. And that's the kind of danger when you do have that instant kind of burst of that intensity at the start of the song, you have to figure out a way to, like continue that without it becoming normal, if that makes sense. That's often why you get musicians start quietly and then increase the volume, or you have some people make really, really loud verses and then have the choruses quiet nowadays. People will do all sorts of stuff. But I think Akin and Sami, they did all right with this one. I'm pretty happy with it. This wouldn't necessarily be the kind of song I'd listen to when I first woke up in the morning, but if I was at a club or whatever and I was on the bounce or something or at a party, definitely. I think that's the kind of vibe they're going for. And that's what matters, If you try and make music that appeals to everybody, you're going to inevitably just come up with something that's probably going to sound quite generic, and it's going to appeal to less people in a way that's maybe as meaningful as if you go with a core niche and just kind of stick at that. And, like Sami is an influencer as well who's been involved in live movies and stuff like that. And, I can understand why this collaboration is fairly important for these guys, and I think that they pulled it off. So well done. Well done to Akin Jensen and Sami Jakobsson on Sick Shit. Hopefully you enjoyed this review, though, of this track. If you did, please do go show these guys some love via their various social medias. I'm assuming they have liked this track on Spotify and stuff like that. Stay cool and stay safe, and please also remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point. And time is need to help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And before I forget, I think there was also an Instagram video for this, so I'm assuming that there's like a multimedia kind of context to this. Again, as someone who doesn't speak the language, there was probably more I could have gotten from the song from the lyrics. But as someone who isn't as familiar with this, I still enjoyed it. I still think it's a great song. It's well written and produced, and I wish you guys better luck in future. But anyways, see you later. Spider hands up.